how did we plan to get here? And now that we are here, what are we doing? And then some of us who are here have lost loved ones. We've lost beloved spouses that we've spent 25, 30, 40, 50 years with. And so we have to begin to chart a different kind of lifestyle without these companions that we've spent so much time with. How do we deal with grief? If we're not careful, if we do not know how to deal with it properly, what are the things that it can lead to? We have Dr. John Konto. He's a psychiatrist. You're welcome. Mr. Joseph Ejike, and the representative of architect Victoria Ono from the Grace Care Nursing Home. You're all welcome to this panel. So we'll start by talking about care for the elderly. And Dr. MM is going to very briefly, did you hear what I said? Very briefly. Talk about the burden of giving care to elder citizens.
I think the best persons to talk about the burden of care really are persons who have the lived experience, where one has to care, long-term care, protracted care, care that is chronic and intense, 24/7. Care that drains somebody mentally, physically, care that makes the carer invisible, care that is unpaid for, and care that drains somebody financially. I can only give you the dynamics and the elements of the care, but I know people in this room that have been in that arena. And so when we talk about care, what do we mean? We have to first understand that. We are looking at a very comprehensive system of activities, whether it is paid or unpaid, that is given to seniors that are at risk or seniors that have very compromised functional capacity. So they cannot carry out activities of daily living themselves. And they cannot carry out what is called instrumental activities of daily living. So care means that there are people there to bathe them, take care of their hygiene, dress them, feed them, ambulate them, that is transfer and give them, help them to exercise their motor. And then the other one also, that care also can include cooking, cleaning, it can include security, it can include many things, so long as that older person cannot help himself, but depends on those people. And so you have two kinds of carers, because to talk about the burden, you must talk about the type of care. You have the informal carers. This is family. These are sons and daughters, spouses, sisters. These ones are unpaid for. These ones are not regulated. These ones can be there 24/7. These ones can be the ones also taking care out of their pockets. They are covering the expenses. They are doing the burden of lifting, the burden of birthing, the burden of cooking and feeding. These are informal caregivers. And then on the other hand, you have formal caregivers. These could be institutions, like I'm sure you're going to hear. These are professionals who have been certified as geriatric social caregivers or health caregivers. And this burden is less on these ones because they are regulated, they are inspected, and they are paid. And they have their time scheduled. Whereas the informal care time is not scheduled. Until midnight, they are still there caring. They are the ones cooking, they are the ones running around, and so on and so forth. And so, why is this burden there? Number one, the burden is there because of the high incidence of multi-morbidity. So you can have this same person that you're caring for, suffering from diabetes, he has cardiac problem, he has motor problem, he has cognitive impairment, everything rolled in one. And so you have this one carer being the one to take care of all these things. And even this one carer, even though he's not trained, is also the one making the care plan and also managing medication. And so the high incidence of multi-morbidity is one. And then number two is also the lack of social insurance. Because there's no insurance cover, there's no social insurance, there's no way to, everything is out of pocket. So you have adults, children, being stressed. Most of them are sandwiched between their parents and their own children. Most of them are meeting obligations of children, paying high school fees and all that, and having to decide, so which one is priority? It's mentally very intense. And then you also have a situation where you don't have this care is not integrated. So you're at home taking care, you don't know how to link this care to the primary health care. You don't know how to do, there's no transfer system. And you don't know how to link the primary health care to the general hospital and to the specialist hospital where my sister, Dr. Ogu, is. So you have everything fragmented and compartmentalized. And so this is a lot of burden. Because my time is limited, I just want, before I leave, to tell you what Nigeria had begun to do and hopefully what Nigeria will continue to do. Because there is need to intervene in care of older persons. Even up to family. There is need to strengthen the family to be able to care better. So the National Senior Citizen Center had worked with stakeholders, many stakeholders, from NBTE to Federal Ministry of Health to National Primary Healthcare Development Agency to Nursing and Midwifery Council of Nigeria, the Geriatrics Association of Nigeria, Gerontology Association of Nigeria, name it, Social Workers Association, to make care a skill. Caregiving is not an all-comers thing, especially when it gets complicated. So NBTE now integrated it into the National Skills Qualification Framework. And they started the training and certification of caregivers for the first time in Nigeria. Developed a national occupational standards so they can use this standard to care. And then set up Geriatric Social Care Skills Council. These ones that will work with MBTE to ensure that the curriculum meets the needs of the industry. And then we had already also given so much information to the House of Representatives to start the bill that will result in an act that will regulate the establishment, administration, and accreditation of care agencies. Because what is happening in Nigeria now, everybody's doing their own thing. And nobody really knows whether they are meeting standard. So all those things had been in place. Training providers had been accredited. In fact, as I speak to you now, 2 training providers already started. In fact, they have trained and certified 2 cohorts, University of Benin Teaching Hospital and University of Uyo Teaching Hospital, training and certifying. And then even the setting up of the senior centers, we had developed national policy guidelines. You don't just get up and set up a senior center. There are guidelines to do those things. And then, of course, accreditation of care settings. So you want to set up a nursing home, you want to set up a respite home, a residential care home, you have criteria, you have standard operating procedures. So all those things are right now, had been done in Nigeria. So I want to appeal to everybody here. You must be from some states. Please beg, appeal, with informed advocacy, inform your government, your state governors to domesticate the National Senior Citizen Center Act. In domesticating that act, you will create an agency for older people that will coordinate everything concerning older people. And then they can work with NSCC to ensure that what NBTE and NSCC had put in place, your state can start to train and certify caregivers. Your state can start to accredit domiciliary care agencies that can take care to the homes, to strengthen family, to give family options, to reduce abuse and reduce the burden of care. And finally, we are now pushing, the Democratic Foundation and some other people are now pushing to ensure that the National Health Insurance Authority Act that made provisions for the vulnerable group funds and listed older people, that we create these systems so that that fund can be used as social insurance for older persons who need long-term care, not necessarily only older persons who go to the hospitals. So let me stop here. So that's...
Elder care, nursing homes. Is it something that we have to do in Nigeria, or are the homes just set up to make money? Is it just a business?
Thank you for this opportunity to speak up here. Okay, so nursing home is something we can do in Nigeria. When you speak about nursing home, because of our culture and our values, because we grow up believing that the only form of care you can give your loved ones is having them in your homes, you providing the direct care to them. But if we look at our population, as the older adults are aging, it comes differently for a lot of people. You find out that for some, it's the seniors sitting out here. Then unfortunately for some, you notice a decline in mobility, you notice decline in cognitive abilities. You find out that a father who was once the pillar of his home can no longer do basic, simple daily living activities. He needs assistance with dressing and all. So we all pray to have a healthy old, we all pray to have a healthy old age. Nobody prays that illness comes in, but unfortunately for some people it comes with serious illnesses. So as this population is aging, as the older adults are aging, you find out that the younger adults who are supposed to be the care providers are out there trying to raise families, trying to grow a career, and then trying to have other relationships. So the issue comes in now is how do they find a balance between providing care for their loved ones and also growing a family and then working and trying to get a career. You would all agree with me that providing care comes with a lot of physical, emotional, and financial challenges that it takes someone who with strong will and strong mind to say, yes, I'm willing to do this. So this is where we look at advocating for safe, healthy, and will I say, well care. So if we're looking at safe care, we should be asking ourselves, how do we ensure that the environment that our aging elderly ones are living is safe, free from fall and abuse? Then if we're looking at health, we shouldn't be looking at health as managing illnesses. We should be looking at healthy living as ensuring that, okay, this person goes through routine check, constant routine check. You're preventing any medical issues from coming up. So just like the doctor spoke, there are little things that little things, little steps you take as we age to ensure that, okay, I check my vitals daily, I take my walk. So when it comes with a decline in cognitive abilities and the rest, you find out that the older adults cannot make those decisions for themselves. This is where you, as the care provider, comes in. So because our values does not support nursing home, when you speak about it, a lot of people see it as abandonment. But I would disagree with that. So if we look at well-structured nursing homes, it gives us a lot of advantages, because a well-structured nursing home gives you a 24 hours round-the-clock care that gives you peace of mind as a family caregiver. You know that, okay, if I am at home, if I'm sleeping at home, I know that my loved ones are receiving the best care possible. Then in the nursing homes, you have the nurse, you have the caregiver, you have the registered nurses, you have the doctors, other professionals who ensure that your loved ones are being checked, that your loved ones are not lacking in anything that has to do with their health. Nutrition and hydration are top-notch check and or at all times. So if we would look at nursing homes, I would say the best way to look at nursing homes would be that we get a lot of our individuals, bodies like this one, to look at how we would ensure that these nursing homes are not just existing as nursing homes, that the right tools are being put in place. So if we look at it that way, because care is very expensive. Care is very expensive, if you agree with me. So if we have individuals who have religious bodies who would take it upon themselves to see how these homes, even with the right structures being put in place, that they assist to give families who are financially not strong enough to provide care for their loved ones, to see that this home subsidize these services. So if we look at it this way, so if we're going to look at care home, we also have to consider best practices. Best practice for providing quality care would be conducting a comprehensive assessment, which gives you an insight into the needs of this individual. So it will enable you work with this individual well. Okay, the homes are being regulated by registered care managers.
Who are they? Who are these?
We have them like, I'll say for Grace Nursing Care Center, we have a geriatrician who is at the top of managing our activities.
One of the, I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but my first question or my first concern was how do people set up nursing homes? People may have passion, you may have a gerontologist, and then we just set up homes. Is that enough? Or should the government come in to regulate? There must be a regulating body.
Okay, for us, the government should be the one regulating the nursing homes.
Yes.
So
is that the case with
no, for Grace Nursing Care Center, the government is not involved in Grace Nursing Care Center.
So it's much better from your standpoint that the government should
gets
be
involved,
there
yes,
to regulate and set up the standards and what
yes, yes.
You have talked that, yeah, people might get some respite from the burden of taking care of the person and taking care of the families. But it's not enough. There must be a proper
regulation
agency to make sure that all the caregivers have the necessary skills and certifications to be able to run the nursing home. But that doesn't mean that we cannot look at the option of nursing homes. Thank you very much. Thank you. Now, Dr. Konto, we have a lot of people here who have lost their loved ones. And it's difficult sometimes to cope. In your own experience, what does grieving do to families? How do people grieve? Is there a right way to grieve? What happens when we do not grieve right? When we don't have the kind of emotional support that we're supposed to have? When we've lost somebody? What are the resultant effects and what can we do?
Okay, thank you very much for inviting me for this big occasion. We know that we all grieve at one point in time in our lives, whether of our loved ones or grieve over something that is very pertinent to us. In grieving, you feel as if you are in a desert or you are on the sea with no connection at all to anything. And then by the time you feel that way, you begin to have some form of emotional feelings. And then before I go further, I would like us to know the stages of grief before we know what and what to do, how to deal with them. A Swiss psychologist introduced these 5 stages of grief. Her name is Elizabeth Kubler-Ross. The first stage of this grief, when the grief happens, or when you love a loved one, the first stage is the stage of denials. At this stage, the individual or the person may not even believe that the loss actually happened. And then it's normal to also feel that shock and numbness. And again, during this phase of denial, they will go through a lot of suppressed feelings, which they are not expressed at that particular time. So at that phase of denial, you see somebody telling his or herself, I'm perfectly fine, despite hearing that news of loss of loved one. And then the second stage is the stage that anger comes in. This anger is a way of confronting the suppressed feelings. In this, just like what I said, in the phase of the denial, in the stage of the denial, they go through some suppressed feelings. And these suppressed feelings, at the stage of anger, they try to express it. We know that all of us, at one point of the time, we express anger through our pains. When we feel pains, we express anger. So at this phase, at this stage of anger, that stage is the stage that will confront those suppressed emotions. And at that stage, what happened is that it's not uncommon for us to have that directed anger on some sorts of things, maybe like having anger towards maybe even the diseased person, the nurse, the doctor, even the friends that are around. You feel that anger. It's not uncommon to have that, but the important thing is for us to know how to express those anger in a healthy manner. And how we can express this in a healthy manner is by a kind of venting those pains to someone that is close to us. And by then, we also connect, just like what we see now. You can connect to people, talking to people, and that also helps to, suppress the anger. And then the third stage is the stage of bargaining. The person that lost the person that is grieved begin to have bargaining. You'll be bargaining, will be a kind of expressing some statements, like it's more like a statement of grief about what you have done or what you have not done before the loss. And again, this statement, it kind of try to, alleviate your pains. And then you believe that these statements can actually, help you to cope with these pains. And by bargaining, it means you are negotiating. So it helps us, bargaining, it kind of helps us to, to alleviate our pains and also to help us to negotiate, with these pains. And then the fourth stage is the stage of depression. When depression sets in, this stage represents emptiness and acute sadness. And at this stage of sadness, it doesn't necessarily mean that the person has a mental disorder, but is an appropriate way of response to the loss. And then the last phase the last stage is the stage of acceptance. At that stage, it begins to, it's not that you accept what happened, but it just means that you accept the reality of life. And then at this phase, what the acceptance does is that you accept the new normal, which is that you accept and you live with it, and then you move on in life. So that's the last phase, the last stage of grief. And then how to able to manage some of these grief. One is to try not to judge yourself or to feel guilty, and then also try to exercise, just like someone that is angry about the loss and all that. Try to exercise, do some sports, and even when the pains become so overwhelmed, you can equally seek the attention of your mental health professionals, so that they will help you to strengthen your coping mechanism. Maybe because at that point you could not cope with the feelings or with the anger. So you seek for the professional advice, and then you also try to take a nap, sleep very well, eat nutritious food, and also try to think through your pain. And then by doing all this, you see that you're able to control or to suppress this grief, and then you'll be fine with it.
Thank you very much, Dr. Konto. We will have a period where we're going to interact with our panelists, but right now they're just giving us an overview of the topics that we're talking about. Our last panelist today is talking about managing our finances. How do we maintain financial independence after retirement? Mr. Ejike.
Thank you very much. I would like to use this particular opportunity to appreciate the celebrant, who also happens to be the major person in this particular program. When I was coming yesterday, when I got a message from one of the organizers that it was 77th birthday, I was intrigued. And when I got into the hall and they showed me that is a celebrant, then I say, what is on that poster is a typographical error, because her age and the year on that poster do not correlate. So that's just by the way. So it's a great opportunity to be here. We're looking at how do you maintain post-retirement financial independence. Financial independence does not actually mean that you are wealthy, but it is the state where you are able to take care of your basic needs without having to depend on even relations, people around you. You are able, for prudent planning, to maintain your daily living, monthly activities without really depending on anybody. so that with or without anybody supporting you financially, you can keep yourself going. And one of the ways that you can do this is after retirement. Actually, let me say that for some of us who have retired but not tired, one of the ways you can, if you have not yet retired, is for you to commence pre-retirement plans. Many of us didn't do that. You just discovered that you are exited and that is all. You didn't plan for it. So one of the basic things that can make you to maintain financial independence after retirement, it is going to be based on what you have already put on ground before retiring. If it is not there, you are likely going to have crisis. Now, another thing that we would like to do, if you must have financial independence, don't enter into businesses that you do not have idea. You want to go into fishing and you don't like to see fish. It's wrong. Don't go into projects that you have little or no idea on how that thing is run in the nitty-gritty. I'll give us an example. There was a director in the organization where I worked. He, in his own case, was a very pitiful case. He met a lady, just maybe a girlfriend, towards the period he was retiring. And then the girl said, there is this business we want to do, we'll go to Dubai, we'll do it together. And he bought into it without knowing what the business was all about. Immediately, he got the 25% of his pension savings. What did he do? He paid the money into the girl's account. They were to travel to Dubai together for that particular business. On the day he got to the airport, the lady was not there. Her phone number was switched off. He went to the house where he used to meet with the girl. They said he has packed out. Because he didn't know the nitty-gritty of what they were going there to do. But we must learn beyond that. Do businesses that you know it down to earth. Then the third thing you can do is to diversify your incomes. Don't say, the least little I am getting is not even enough for me. If you don't invest it, within time it will disappear. But if you invest it, you begin to see the little ones that are coming, no matter how small. If you manage it with discipline, you will discover that at the end of the day, whether nothing happens at all, something is coming in. Finally, don't put your money in savings account in the bank. Many of us say, I'm saving my money. What is the interest rate of what they give you? Maybe 2% or 1% of what you have saved. In fact, by the time they deduct SMS and other things from that money, it is affecting your capital. Put your money in a money generating bank, like federal bonds, federal government bonds, for instance. It may be small, but your money will never reduce. You have mutual funds in various banks. It may be small, but your money will never reduce. What happens is that those little interests that come in will make you to remain financially stable. And as we leave this place, I want us to go with one mindset. It is one thing to plan. It is another thing to execute. And know that if you fail to plan, you have planned to fail in life. Thank you.
While we say that culturally, this is not something we should think about, but there are those individuals who need skilled care from people who are experts. And the emotional burden sometimes, that comes with having to care for an older adult who's so dependent, especially those at advanced stage of dementia, for instance. So it's something we have to think about. It's either we are at a state where we have skilled people who can go into the homes to help us look after such older persons, or we have them in a nursing home. But it's important that the regulation is put in place. So Dr. Mokaro did set up all of these benchmarks and stuff. But we don't know what has happened subsequently. And that's where the conversation also needs to go. For regulation to be put in place, it needs to be picked up. All the work that had gone prior to now should not be abandoned. Thank you.
In Nigeria, correct, I'm talking about Nigeria, like the doctor emphasized, there's a need for proper moderation and regulation, very clear. I'm happy doctors are here. Hospitals are not hospitals. Orphanages are, all in the bid to get involved, all in the bid to make money. I heard Kalia says it's expensive to run a care home, which is very correct. I know of Nigerian professionals who are all out there running this care thing and making money. So as we do that, as Nigerian government embraces that, please, I want to appeal that proper care, meticulous preparation, planning should be involved. Because naturally, as Africans, it sounds Western exotic to carry your old papa and your old mama and go to, I mean, it's true. Put it vis-a-vis at the fourth commandment of God that says, honor your father and mother, have blessings, only promise. So I want to appeal that as we do that with caution, especially in our context, Nigeria, the current situation. Thank you so much.
I have an elderly mom, and she had stroke, and I've been taking care of her in my house. And the emotional, financial toll has been immense on every member of my family. And I think the biggest challenge we have is stubbornness of the elderly. I think they seem to know exactly what they want. No matter our best intention is always, he's my son, I gave birth to him. That's that. I'm the ultimate authority, but I get described as, he's that little boy I raised. So I need some comments on that. To the post-retirement financial independence, my question is between renting out a property versus selling it. What's the most prudent approach? Thank you. When it comes to the maybe a family house or a personal house, sometimes selling the property, knowing the need and the use of what you have matters. For instance, if you are only living together with your wife, maybe the children are out, they are already in various homes of theirs, you are a grandfather, and you are living in a duplex. The children are not willing to live there with their families. Maybe your first son to live in the same place with you. But you are not, sometimes you even find it difficult to sweep some of the rooms and the whole place is under. It is better for you to sell it. Build a smaller, portable, comfortable place that you can take care of physically, the physical environment, and that you are comfortable to live in. If for instance, you have 5 bedrooms and the only one you are using in the house is 1, what are the 4 doing? That is one. Another way you can do it is separate the rooms even within the duplex, so that they have different exits and entrances. Then you can rent the same property within the same place that you are staying. Instead of living alone, for instance, what happens on the day the wife travels and the man is alone and he has a crisis? So, even as we're talking now, if I want to build a house, any house I want to stay in today, there must be provision within the compound where tenants will stay. So that if there is any risk, any danger, you can cry out for help. So it's not a prestige. You are no longer using the property and it's big and it's standing and you are alone inside. So it depends. These are the 2 ways you can do it. Either you rent part of the property so that you have people living with you, or you sell it and get a smaller place in a better place that you can live comfortably.
to build a geriatric social care quality assurance system. We're talking about quality assurance. Quality assurance system is complicated because it brings in many stakeholders, including our lawmakers for the regulation, the regulatory framework. And I also want to say that we must understand that anytime you hear about care settings, there are different kinds of care settings. It's not only, he's talking about the nursing home. There's a nursing home there, which, as was said, that market is also open. That's a market niche. Because you even have some Nigerians in the diaspora. They don't know what to do with their parents who have developed dementia, who have other degenerative diseases that they cannot manage, and they are not here to manage. Children have out-migrated. So where you find professionals who have studied and are certified, but the only thing here now is that Nigeria is not in that place yet to regulate these institutions. But where it is regulated, then sometimes the best care, where you are not available, and there is no domiciliary care, is the institutions. So now you have the nursing homes. You also have what is called residential homes. These residential homes and independent living homes, it's not necessarily that these older people are so frail and degenerated they can't help themselves. Is that sometimes they are left there and they are all alone in the house, where they are not in the communities, but they are in the urban centers. And they prefer. In fact, I said to my children, I said, frankly, if I see when I'm old, and I see a very beautiful boutique type residential home, where I have very pleasant, residents, I'd rather go and find a flat there and stay and enjoy myself, because they take trips, they go dancing, they go fishing, they do all manners of things, and some of them even fall in love there and marry. It's happening. So we have to have that cultural shift, because the times call for it. We have to have the cultural shift. But there is also respite home. And the respite home is that, I'm traveling. My mother, for instance, your mother lives with you, you're traveling. And you don't want to leave that person in the hands of minors who cannot manage the complicated medication. So, but there's a respite home that is regulated and it's well established where you have professionals. So I'm taking my mother, Mama, don't be angry. These people will take more care of you. 3 months, I'm back. I'm going to China. So you take your mom there and they take absolutely good care. Instead of going to get complicated and they give the medication that they should not have given. Or they gave before in the morning, they forgot and they are giving, it gets complicated. So you can now travel and then come back. But the one, because we did a survey when I was in National Senior Center, I did a lot of surveys before we could initiate anything. The survey to determine the most preferred care setting in Nigeria was that people preferred aging at home. They want to age in their houses where they grew up and they have their churches there, they have their community there. But then, for us to be able to promote that, we must develop the domiciliary care agencies. Domiciliary care means you have these agencies that are accredited, they are manned with people that are certified, and they are the ones who employ these certified caregivers and are in charge of sending them into the homes. So now they can regulate. Now you have where to call. They are now the ones scheduling them. They are now the one getting the care plan. So instead of you being the one to supervise alone, you are connecting with the domiciliary care. But what we push for in NSCC when I was there is for the domiciliary care to be integrated in the primary care. And that brings now that community-centered care. So that the domiciliary care agency person, the caregiver at home, if there is any need, you know that the community extension health worker is going to come. So it's a team. So there is that referral system. You get to the primary care facility, look, please come and help us. We need to refer Mama Toad here. We need to take the person to either the general hospital or teaching hospital. So it is when you have that integration, that is when you redefine that care and everybody is at peace. And then you have the health insurance. I go back to that social insurance, which we must have. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. There's so many facets to these issues that we're talking about. And this kind of a panel shouldn't be part of all of these activities that we're having today.